Hello ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go over Hawaii State GET for Uber and Lyft drivers and how to file it. So as you can see here, I pulled up a Google image of a driver's screenshot here. So we have the rideshare earnings, and then we have the tips, and then I did the same thing for Uber, and this one's a little bit different because it has a promotion section, but you can see there's the trip earnings and the tips, and then there's also promotions, and I'll show you how to handle that in just a moment as well. For now, let's go ahead and get logged into our Hawaii Tax Online account, and then we're going to go to G45 here and file return. You want to be on the current period that you're filing for, so right now it's January, so we're going to file for December. And then we're going to scroll down here to the bottom. We're going to go to next. For the sake of this video, I'm going to do Oahu. There won't be any exemptions if all you do is rideshare, most likely. It might be special circumstances, but I couldn't think of any for this video. Alright, so this is where we get our breakdown pulled up. And I highly recommend that you track your earnings in an Excel sheet or Google document. The reason why is because at the end of the year you're going to need to use your calculations, and it's also just easier. Good way to keep track. So for trip earnings, those are going to be charged at a 0.5% tax rate. So what I have here is Uber and Lyft, just in case, and these are the examples I had in the pictures earlier. So just in case you switch between the two, I know a lot of drivers do, they switch between Uber and Lyft. You can go ahead and separate your trip earnings based on the company and then your tips. And then since Uber has promotions, that's a little bit different. I wasn't expecting that before I was making this video. I had to look into it a little bit. But it appears this is not actually part of the trip earnings. This is a special little bonus that you get for performing extra tasks or meeting certain milestones. So I color-coded everything here so that it would be easy to follow. So tips are going to be charged at the full 4.5%, as are the promotions, because that is not actually part of the rideshare. So Uber is actually paying you instead of the customer paying Uber and then Uber paying you. Now it might sound a little tricky because customers technically pay Uber, but Uber isn't charging for these services. They're only charging for the trip services. Thus, they're not paying GET on the promotions, which means you will have to. However, they are paying GET on the trip earnings, and that they're also charging the customer for that, so that makes them liable automatically. So you will only pay the 0.5% and then 4.5% for the orange highlighted cells. The one exception for tips, however, there is a time where you could potentially only owe 0.5%, and that's if the tip is mandatory. So if Uber requires a customer to pay a tip, like if UberEats requires customers to pay a tip one day, then they should charge or at least pay for the GET, the full 4.5% GET, and then you would only pay 0.5% as the driver. Alright, so now that we have our totals, the two numbers we're going to focus on for filing this return are going to be these two. I'm just going to highlight them in yellow real quick to keep them off to the side for us. And then we're going to take this number, the 0.5%, we're going to copy it over to wholesaling services or wholesale services, because you are providing a service, you're not producing anything. And then we're going to scroll down here and hit next. And while that's pulling up, I'm going to pull up my Excel again, and then we're going to do the copy for that 165.82, and we're going to bring that down to, you can put it in either interest and all others, or you can put it into services including professional. I'll put it here just because of the promotional piece. I like to keep them together there. And then next, and unless you're an insurance salesman or insurance producer, you won't need to fill this out. Next, and there's no exemptions, so you won't need to fill out anything here either. Go ahead and hit next. And here you will have the breakdown of each type of income you have. So for the services you rendered and you're only paying the 0.5%, you only owe $10.84 on this $2,167. On the tips, $165.82, well, tips plus the promotion, it's going to be $6.63. So don't get too overwhelmed. Overall, it's not that high of an amount, so it's not too much to worry about because the total here is only $18.30 in this very likely scenario. So let's continue by hitting next. And then it's going to give you a chance to review all the information you put in on this page. I'm going to hit next. Alright, and this is the part where you can pay. So you'll see the amount due in full here. If you have your bank account set up and everything, you just hit yes and it automatically saves it for you if you click the button to choose to save it every time. It makes it so much easier. I'm going to hit no because I'm not actually submitting anything, but this is all there is to it to filing your periodic return for the G45 for Uber and Lyft drivers. So it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I'm going to cancel. I want to go back out and take a look. I'm going to say yes. I want to take a look at the G49. This is the annual filing. So with the annual filing, it's going to be the same thing pretty much. I think their format is a little bit different, and I'm getting this message because I didn't file the December return yet. Alright, we're going to click Oahu. Make sure you do file your December return before you do the annual, however. None of these apply to me or to most Uber drivers. It won't apply to you either. And you're just going to do the same thing. You're just going to plug in wholesaling the amount that you did here. And then you're just going to follow the same steps that I provided for the G45. The only difference will be that this will be for the full year's amount. So everything that you earned, in this case in 2020, everything that you earned will need to be added up and put into the appropriate boxes, which would be the same boxes that you used during the year. And I'm just going to continue. And as you can see, everything is exactly the same. It's just the amount will be more until you get to this page. Now when you get to this page, you're going to want to go to your submissions. Before this, you want to go to your submissions and make sure that you add up everything that you've already submitted in payment. And then you're going to put in this box all the totals from your submissions. So everything that you've already paid the state, you put it in this box, and this is what you actually paid, not what you owe. And then what you owe will automatically calculate in this section above it, and it's going to do the math for you, and it's going to tell you if you're owed a refund or if you have additional taxes that you need to pay in. If there's any penalties, then hopefully those will estimate on their own. If they don't, then I don't usually calculate those myself. And the reason why is because if you click on this blue box here, it will tell you that you'll need to log in the next day after submitting this form. You'll need to log in the next day and check to see if you actually owe any penalties or interest on your total amount here. So far, I haven't had anything like that happen with any of my accounts. And I've submitted 2 that were late. One was my own personal that was late, and another was for a client who was late turning in the information, and I hopped on about 2 months after it was due and I submitted for them. But in both cases there was nothing owed. So we're going to hit OK here. Alrighty, and that is pretty much it because this is the last page right here. So the next you'll submit and everything should be good to go. If you owe money, however, I'm pretty sure there's another page right after this one that's going to make you fill out the ACH information just like the G45. Just make sure that when you do hit submit and you go to submit your payment, that you actually submit the payment, not just the form, because it will let you submit the form by itself and it will tell you that you have filed. However, a couple days later you're going to see a message in your inbox which will show up on your home page. It'll show up right here and you'll get the message showing that you owe penalties for not submitting on time or submitting payment on time, even though you did submit the return. And if you ever want to double check, right here is where you do it. You go to submissions and view submissions, and this is where it'll tell you you got return and payment of. If you don't have any payments due, then all you need to file is the return anyway, but it will tell you and payment of. If it doesn't say that, that means a payment wasn't submitted. And that does it for your video today. Thank you very much for watching.